welcome to another edition of Congleton Chronicled from Congleton Community TV. I'm Mark Edwardson, and this week I'm standing in for Vic Brown, who's been looking after this spot for a few weeks now, doing an excellent job, it's got to be said. So thank you to Vic. With me is Mel Walker, who is the senior reporter here at the Congleton Chronicle, to look through a couple of the stories that are making the headlines in the town this week. Mel, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you? All right?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
Nice to see you again. Just looking at the front page, it could be parish news, couldn't it? Parish announces strategy to close Mossley Church, which sounds like a really sad thing, and volunteers needed to save a village church.
Yeah.
So it's church news, but it's quite serious, actually.
It is. Yeah, no, it's really worrying. So Mossley Church is under threat of being sold off. And then we've got also St Michael's Church in North Road, which is really struggling for volunteers.
Right. Is this because of falling attendances?
Yeah, so they are struggling to meet double figures at the moment with that. But yeah, at St Michael's it is just that they are struggling to stay open, the church ward, and they haven't been able to find a replacement. So yeah, it's not great news for the church.
No, I suppose it's a sign of the times, isn't it? But to be truthful, those buildings, as beautiful as they are, were built when congregations were large and they could be afforded.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if the congregations are quite small, they really struggle for maintenance, if nothing else, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there has been a campaign to try and raise money for the roof as well at St Mary's in Asbury. They've really struggled to find funding.
Yeah, St Mary's is an amazing piece of architecture as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know we're not going to lose it. I think that it's probably unlikely, but it would be horrible to see any of these fall into dilapidation, wouldn't it?
No, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So Mel, do we know what the plan is for the strategy to close Mossley Church?
Yeah, so it's going to be a long process, but it's going to include consultation with the congregation and parishioners, the wider local community as well, and it will need to go to the church commissioners before anything can be decided. So it will take a long time, hopefully.
I suppose in the meantime, what that church and the others need is sort of increased numbers of volunteers to look after them, isn't it?
Yeah, so a church warden obviously is what's needed there, but overall, you know, it is just, like you said, the dwindling number of parishioners and just whether or not they can afford to keep it going. And I think they can't even afford to pay the church council at the moment, which operates the church.
Okay. So turning into the paper itself, on the third page it says peak cluster fears over housing and new bypass, the controversial pipeline that's meant to be taking carbon dioxide emissions from cement works in the peaks out to the Irish Sea, isn't it? And
Yeah.
to be stored in underground caves.
That's right, yeah. We've had lots of calls with residents concerned about this, actually. There's now been an informal report come from officers at Cheshire East Council who've looked at the initial report, and they have concerns that have been raised about the amount of land that's going to be taken up by this pipeline, which could have been used for housing. So they're concerned that they're going to struggle to meet their 5-year supply because of the amount of land that this will take up.
Cheshire Eastern housing again.
Yeah, standard theme, isn't it? But the pipeline's going to run. It's going to skirt Biddulph, and then it's going to come through Timbersbrook, and then out towards Jodrell Bank, Middlewich, and that kind of area. It isn't 100% determined exactly where it will go at the moment, but residents are obviously really concerned. Cheshire East Council did also raise some health and safety concerns about what would happen if there was a breach. Or a rupture in the pipeline.
Well, that's quite serious, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because carbon dioxide, which is what this is meant to be transporting from cement works out to the Irish Sea, is heavier than air, isn't it?
It's actually being transported in liquid form.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's going to be pumped through the pipelines as a liquid. And in this country, we don't have a lot of experience
But
with
if it escapes, it's poisonous and it will suffocate if you're not careful, won't it? So it would gather in hollows, and you wouldn't know it was there until it was too late. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely there must be some safety feature on this pipeline that talks about, you know, if the pressure suddenly goes down, somebody would be alerted and something would happen. I can't imagine there'd be no information gathered from that pipeline from start to finish. But
no, I think what the experts are saying is that it's incredibly unlikely that anything like that would happen.
Yeah.
But the impact, if it did, would be huge. And
never
so
say
that's,
never.
Exactly, yeah. And then obviously there were also environmental concerns about the disruption to hedgerows and things like that, and where this is going to go. So yeah, lots of concern about that at the moment, a lot of uncertainty.
Okay. And special educational needs, SEND, has reared its head again, hasn't it? Yeah,
so I was invited to attend a coffee afternoon put on by Sarah Russell at Holmes Chapel Community Centre the other week, where there were lots of parents and SEND experts, teachers, things like that, who'd come to hear about the new government reforms which are being rolled out.
I was going to say, Sarah Russell's the MP for Congleton.
Yeah. So lots of speakers there. The new Director for Education at Cheshire East was there as well, and she explained that 2.5 million extra was being put into these SEND reforms locally, so that's just within Cheshire East.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is, rather than having children with SEND put into specialist schools, which is traditionally what has happened, they're now trying to put more resources and experts into mainstream schools so that children can be supported without the need for getting a diagnosis or an EHCP, which is an education, health and care plan. So hopefully with these new reforms they'll be able to spot the difficulties that children might be having earlier on, and they'll be able to be helped within mainstream schools rather than
It's an interesting debate, isn't it, between the use of special schools and mainstream schools, because you can kind of understand why the special school supporters like that idea, because at least those kids get targeted and perfectly what's the word I'm looking for, tailored education. I get that, but there's nothing to say you can't have that in a mainstream school. Plus there's the kids going to mainstream schools, kids going to special schools, there's an obvious difference there, and children sometimes spot the difference and exploit it, don't they? And it's almost like there's a not so much a taboo, but a sort of kids going to special schools, they can be looked down upon, can't they? Unfairly, completely unfairly, but it can happen.
Sometimes it can cause a stigma,
Yeah, so, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's why you're the journalist.
So I think that's the idea, but there are a lot of concerns from parents, many of whom have fought very, very long and hard to get a diagnosis for their children and to get an EHCP for their children, that's now being thrown out. And what Sarah was explaining during the meeting was that anybody who has an EHCP currently, it's not going to be thrown out overnight. Anything that's in place now will last until 2030, and then any changes that need to be made after that will be done, in a tailored way, with a lot of attention paid to transitions and basically to do what's best for the child.
So no need to panic.
No need to panic.
Good. I suppose that's what's good and reassuring for parents, at least, isn't it, that there's no need to panic.
Yeah.
So finally, before you go, what are you doing next Thursday night?
I'm coming to the annual town meeting, of course.
Good.
Isn't everyone?
That's exactly what I thought you meant. Yeah. So it's always an interesting occasion, isn't the annual town meeting? It can sound quite dry when you look at the invitation, but it can be quite entertaining as well, can't it?
No, it's very entertaining. Normally some very lively characters. We've got lots of strong opinions about things that are going on in Congleton. It's
true, and we're not talking about councillors either, we're talking about
no.
You're members of the public, aren't we? Yeah, so it should be quite good. That's Thursday the 14th of May at the Town Hall at 7 o'clock, the annual town meeting. Miss it and miss out. Mel, thanks again for joining us this morning. So that's it from Congleton Chronicled this week. You've had a taster of what's in the paper for the 7th of May in 2026, so why not go out and buy a copy for the full story. That's it from me for now. I'm Mark Edmondson. Hope to see you next time. Take care.